Stream of Indie.
Hey there, Indie Warriors! Tangwhistle here with a review for you of the new visual novel, Ambition, a Minuet in Power. I was very excited when Old Gamer Joe asked me to review this game because it's a visual novel, which I love, and it's set in France during the French Revolution. Viva la France! Viva la liberté! Apologies, I really couldn't resist. The story of Ambition is that you are Yvette Deco, a common-born woman from a small rural village. Yvette has fallen in love with the Baron Armand de Marbeau. She is traveling to Paris to join her fiancé, except he's not there when she shows up. Oh, and she's expected to attend a party in his stead. Surprise! I don't want to spoil too much, but I will say this first party is pretty much a grand humiliation for Yvette and opens a revenge subplot. The cast is diverse and often based on actual historical figures. There's the Baron, of course, who is mysteriously missing but will eventually show up or be found depending on your choices. Elisabeth Vigée-Dubon is a painter, the Queen's painter, in fact, but she's fallen on rough times and is searching for her muse. Then there's Father Ludovico Sidotti, a Catholic priest from Italy with questionable taste in literature, for a priest anyways. You'll also meet Corporal Thomas Alexandre Dumas, who is a member of the Queen's Dragoons and quite a charmer. If his name sounds familiar, it's because the historical figure he's based on was actually the father of the famous author Alexandre Dumas, who wrote The Three Musketeers. Our second female romance option is the widow Madame Honorade Giazel, who is still in public mourning for her late husband years after his death. And finally, no tale of the French Revolution would be complete without a fiery revolutionary, and Louis-Antoine de Saint-Just is definitely a firebrand. You'll also meet one of two possible enemies. It seems to be random which one you get, and there's a broad supporting cast as well, some of whom can be hired to make certain interactions easy to pass. The gameplay itself centers around attending parties with various factions, such as the Crown, the military, the bourgeoisie, the church, and, of course, the Revolution. The Crown and the Revolution are the major opposing factions, with the other three playing supporting roles to one or the other. As you attend parties with the various factions and chat with guests, your credibility or peril can go up or down. Clothing does have a strong impact on your credibility, so you'll want to pay attention to which factions like what styles, and dress accordingly for those functions. A higher credibility will let you be more successful at persuasion or deception attempts. Maxing out your peril will lose you some favor with everyone, or possibly your head. There's also a fatigue mechanic at play. Parties and rendezvous with partners will tire Yvette out and cause a negative impact to her credibility at the next event she attends. You can get rid of this fatigue by spending the day at home relaxing. Or you can spend 2 days at home and you'll get a small credibility bonus for your next party or date by being well rested. Your interactions with people, either at parties or while exploring the city, will let you increase or decrease any faction's power. You'll also collect gossip of varying degrees, from the cheap and trivial to the scandalous and outrageous. You can sell this gossip, which is your main form of income, or use it to influence the balance of power. In addition to the main storyline and romanceable characters, you can also find lots of little side stories while exploring Paris. At the conclusion of the story, no, I'm not going to spoil anything, I just want to let you know you will find out what happened to each of the characters you met and interacted with, whether they prospered, simply survived, or how they met their untimely end. I do also want to note that the stories in this game, particularly the background stories for the romanceable characters, do touch on some sensitive subjects. Subjects like slavery, alcoholism, and of course politics come up from time to time. So if those kinds of subjects aren't something you want in your games, you may want to pass on Ambition. But if you can deal with them, they are only a small facet of the game. And for me personally, I thought the topics were handled very well and fleshed out the characters in a way that felt very genuine and humanizing. Controls are pretty much what you'd expect for a visual novel. You can use spacebar to progress dialogue or click with your mouse. One tiny thing that did annoy me, you can't click anywhere with your mouse. You have to click on the dialogue box, but that's just me being really nitpicky. The user interfaces are all simple and pretty self-explanatory. One other small complaint, though, was that the pop-up messages for tips would always fade away before I could finish reading them. But if you do the tutorials, you'll be fine. Visually, I thought the background art was exquisite, and I loved the almost classic Disney-esque style of the characters themselves. This is not your standard anime fare, which I personally found very refreshing. Sometimes the expressions were a little over the top for what was being said and made me chuckle or scratch my head a little, but overall it was very reflective of the style of the writing, which was often tongue-in-cheek and knocked a bit on the fourth wall here and there. Always to my amusement. Musically, I am in love with the soundtracks for this game. If they come out with an OST, I will definitely be picking it up. The composer, John Robert Matz, did an absolutely fabulous job with the classical string quartets, harpsichord pieces, and full orchestral arrangements. Likewise, the ambience tracks were also very well done. Exploring Paris felt very immersive as I listened to sounds of a crowd, a random dog barking, and a horse in the street trotting past me and snorting. The ambience also became very muffled when visiting places like Fatima's dress shop. Every once in a while, I did notice sometimes that the ambience didn't quite match the scene, like being at a party and still hearing that dog or horse from the street, but this was overall very rare. There's not really any voice acting apart from some noises like gasps of surprise, but call me old-fashioned. I tend to prefer to read my visual novels myself rather than have them be read to me by voice actors. Overall, I absolutely loved this game, and I fully intend to play through it at least a dozen more times to explore all the various endings and options. In the interest of full disclosure, there were some points of inconsistency towards the end, such as a character leaving Paris but then still being available for a date or interaction around the city. This felt like a super small issue to me, honestly, and I was so in love with the game by the time I got that far, I really found it more amusing than anything else. Another possible objection some folk might have is that choosing to kiss a character tends to lead to more than a kiss. There's nothing visually obscene on these parts, and the writing itself is very mild, amounting to little more than an intro and a fade to black. Definitely not R17, but maybe PG-13. That said, I also want to mention real quick just how incredibly accurate this game is historically, at least as far as events go. It was very, very well researched, and if you know anything about the French Revolution, you'll recognize more than a few names and famous events. In my opinion, this game definitely warrants a Golden Genie Lamp Award, and I strongly encourage you to check it out. Thank you very much for watching I Dream of Endy. Your support helps to fight the echo chamber and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. You can find info in the description below on other ways to support us, as well as a variety of links. If you want to catch future episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and as always, we have a special thank you to the following indie warriors: Mitchell Hall, Kevalo, Bill Takax, Christian Cruz, Strict9, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Peach, Adriano Amato, CJR, Falco Lombardi, C. Coyle, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Jesse, CPM, and Julian Colbus.